Federal government to auction 150 billion naira bonds next week. CBN pegs equity funding for agri schemes at 2 billion naira. Federal government to spend 2.3 trillion naira stimulus fund on rural electricity and others. Plus, experts articulate that harnessing gas resources will create 2 million jobs. This is Business Express on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and we're reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Muplang Dakok. Far-reaching measures have been taken by the federal government towards repositioning the nation's mining sector in furtherance of efforts at diversifying the economy for sustainable national development. Consequently, the National Security Advisor has been directed to coordinate targeted operations against illegal mining activities nationwide, while states and local governments have been warned to desist from illegal mining taxation. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed made this known while briefing newsmen on resolutions of the Federal Executive Council meeting.
The Council noted that insecurity and illegal mining have led to huge loss of money. The Council directed that the National Security Advisor should set up a special unit domiciled in the FCT, Abuja, to carry out targeted operations at identified and confirmed illegal mining sites nationwide. The Council also directed the National Security Advisor to facilitate the erection of central magazines. These are special, storage facilities across the geopolitical zones of the country for mining purposes.
Talking energy, the federal government says it will spend 2.3 trillion naira on the Solar Homes System, SHH, under the Economic Sustainability Plan to provide electricity in rural Nigeria. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who stated this, said that the SHS would provide solar-powered power plants to 5 million households, noting that the establishment of small centers would enable at least 25 million people to access electricity in villages across Nigeria. He further noted that the ESP program includes support for small and medium enterprises, external development of local drug processing as well. He reiterated that the ESP will create jobs in the agricultural sector for at least 5 million people. On the commodity market, the gold prices rose on Thursday, holding firm above the key $1,900 per ounce, as a weaker US dollar and concerns over the global economic recovery boosted demand for the safe haven metal. We have prices of domestic and global commodities in early trade of this Thursday. The Central Bank of Nigeria has pegged non-interest banks' funding of agricultural programs at a maximum of 2 billion naira equity. The investment is set at 40% of investee companies' equity, subject to a maximum of 2 billion naira and tenure of up to 10 years. The new rule is contained in the guidelines for the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme for non-interest financial institutions released by the Apex Bank. The guidelines, signed by the CBN Director, Financial Policy and Regulations Department, Kelvin Amigo, described the scheme as an initiative of the Bankers Committee supporting government's policy measures and efforts for the promotion of agricultural businesses. And on the money market, the dollar fell against most of its peers in early trade this Thursday, amid fading hopes for a compromise between Republicans and Democrats over additional stimulus for the U.S. economy. Let's see how the naira is exchanging for the dollar and other international currencies. The Debt Management Office says the federal government will auction 150 billion naira worth of bonds for subscription by August 19th. A circular by the DMO shows that the breakdown of the figure is to include a 25 billion naira 10-year reopening bond that would mature in January 2026 and be offered at 12.5%, and a 40 billion naira 15-year reopening bond that would mature in March 2033 and be offered at 12.5%. It also shows that a 45 billion naira 25-year reopening bond would mature in July 2045 and be offered at 9.8%, and the longest tenure of a 40 billion naira 30-year reopening bond would be offered at 12.98%. The settlement date for the bonds is August 21st, 2020. And on the capital market, transactions on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended Wednesday's trading in positive territory. The NSE All Share Index and market capitalization rose by 1.04% to close at 25,141.48 basis points as traders exchanged 204.8 million shares valued at 3.8 billion naira in 3,636 deals. And on the global market, Asia-Pacific markets traded mixed this Thursday following a surge in the U.S. markets overnight as technology stocks rallied. European stocks are expected to open in negative territory this Thursday as investors track the lack of progress in the negotiations over a U.S. pandemic relief package. Here's a graphic summary of Wednesday's trading when stocks were mostly higher. Business Express will take a short break now, and when we return, our discussion will center on harnessing Nigeria's gas resources. Stay with us.
Let me assure Nigerians that all COVID-19 intervention funds are safe in the Treasury single account, and that government is still open to donations in this regard. Government has opened special accounts with 5 commercial banks which are directly linked to the Treasury single account. Donated funds are safe in the Central Bank of Nigeria. For verifiable information about the funds and other financial obligations of the federal government, please contact us directly at the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. The account details for the donations are as follows.
The Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission has called for more development of the gas infrastructure with a view to harnessing more revenues from the sector to the Federation account. The chairman of the commission, Elias Mbam, said this in a statement signed by head of Public Relations Unit of the commission, Christian Wachuku. Mbam says that the potential of gas to revenue generation is enormous and needs to be properly exploited, adding that Nigeria can generate more than $1 billion annually from the sector if relevant stakeholders can do the needful. He advised that flared gas could be converted and channeled to enhance the economy and reduce health hazards posed to oil-producing communities due to environmental pollution. To discuss the prospects for harnessing Nigeria's gas reserves for economic growth is the Vice Chairman, Gas to Energy Group, Olabode Sanwomi.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, Nigeria is said to be more of a gas nation than an oil nation. However, many Nigerians are not even aware of that. What does that exactly mean for the average Nigerian?
Well, in simple terms, when we talk about petroleum, it's basically oil and gas. So it means we have more gas than we have oil.
Okay.
And then in our capacity, that's the powers that we have to do trade, in the economics of it, we are ranked significantly higher within the gas sector of it than in the oil sector, even though we are still very prominent within the oil sector. That's basically what it means. And it has a lot of advantages.
Okay.
One of the advantages is the fact that there's the tendency, the push, the trust that we move away from oil. That's globally.
Okay.
But that does not mean we move away from gas. In fact, on the contrary, it's looking at more uses for gas than for oil.
Yes,
So
I was going to ask you. So, since there's a scare that oil is going to run out, what happens to gas? What is to be expected of gas?
But gas, all that technically does not have any effect on gas.
Okay.
So basically you have to look at more uses for gas, and there are significantly a lot of more uses for gas. First of all, in the combustion process for gas, it is more environmental friendly, and there's a push for it in terms of meeting the climate protocol requirements that Nigeria is a signatory to. But as of today, there's a policy called the Gas Master Plan, because it's not yet a law. And what that seeks to do is to develop the gas market within Nigeria, the local gas market, so that Nigeria can also benefit from the uses of gas. What they have done is that they have segmented the uses of gas into 3 different areas. There's LPG, which is your cooking gas. There's gas to power. Okay. That is the gas that goes into the power sector for turning the turbines and all those that produces gas. Then there's the gas-based industries. That's industries that uses gas as part of their feedstock, like fertilizer, like aluminium and all that. And then there's gas that goes to powering certain industries. So in all those 4 areas are the major uses of gas at the moment.
Would you say Nigeria is properly utilizing, or Nigerians, especially the ordinary Nigerians, do you think we are properly utilizing our gas resources?
Significantly underutilizing it.
Okay.
So it's like a gentleman who has a trailer a 16-wheeler trailer, and what he uses it for is to park chairs. So, so there are a myriad of things that the thing can go into. But even at that, we need infrastructure for just even the basics. If we can have the basics, those 4 things that I mentioned, being effectively delivered to within the nation, we will still be significantly fine. In fact, we will be very, very close to rapid industrialization.
All right. So we know that Nigeria was number 3 in the world in terms of...
Number 7.
Oh, 7. I thought we were number 3 before we moved to number 7. Now, I think we're currently number 7 in terms of gas production in Nigeria. But at a point we were, I mean, among the top 3 or top 4.
I am not sure.
We were never at any point at the top.
Yeah, there are a number of nations that have more gas than we are.
Okay.
We were number 2 in terms of gas flaring at a time.
Okay.
In terms of polluting the atmosphere.
So how are we doing now?
No, there has been improvement.
Okay.
But there's also a need for the data that comes from that area to be verified, to be audited.
Okay.
Because it's one thing for you to have the person who is the culprit being the person determining or giving the information in terms of what gas is being flared. But that's a total different discussion.
Okay, so Nigeria, the federal government is making plans now to, move the gas resources of Nigeria forward, like to harness all the potentials. What do you make of what the federal government is doing?
Well, for now, they are saying it, but they now needs to move from saying into proper policy documents, which we have some already, and then to implementation. Even the AKK, there is the Ajautikuta, Kaduna, Kano. It's a significant milestone. However, it must be done within the proper perspective, because it is there because it's supposed to trigger industries and industrial development along that corridor. But as of today, there are no off-takers yet. Basically, off-takers is a word which means that those who would take the gas to use for the industry. So people usually say which one comes first. Should the infrastructure come first before the off-takers, or should the off-takers come first before the infrastructure? That's a delicate argument because it's like a chicken and egg scenario. But what is important is that there must be off-takers. So as the government is putting the necessary efforts to ensure that the pipeline is built, they should also put in the necessary stimulation to ensure that there are appropriate industries along that corridor.
What are those necessary stimulations you're talking about?
Tax rebates, encouraging people to come in, giving them free land. You need to, setting up industrial parks, they need to make everything juicy. You understand? You need to encourage people, because people are going to come in to put in their knowledge, to put in their money, to ensure that an industry works. They're going to create a supply chain for the raw materials. They're going to, if it's a company that is producing cement, that is doing aluminium, that is producing fertilizer, that is doing anything, iron, whatever it is that they are doing, they are going to need raw materials from the local community. They are going to employ people from the local community. So there must be a supply, there must be a way that those things are consistently fed to them. That's what the entrepreneurial mind does. Government cannot do all of that, even if they want to. So the entrepreneurial mind, the entrepreneur is going to create all of that system. So government needs to make that system easy for them. You understand?
Let's talk about the LNG train 7. It has been in, the pipeline for a long period of time. What do you make of it if it is finally completed, and what do you suggest as the way forward to be able to, for us to have that train 7 operational?
Well, train 7 is going to be operational.
Okay.
It is interesting to know that it has already been sold. So there isn't, there's already a market for it, which really is one of the ways with gas. Because usually when you hear all these gas plants being built, even for power and all that, you hear them talk about take or pay, which means that once the deal has been done and the contract has been signed, whether you take the gas or you don't, you still have to pay. and all that. So you have some of all those terms in there. So, but what is important in terms of LNG, because when you talk LNG, you're talking export.
Yes.
You're not talking to local market, is that we need to also look at options for trading within Africa. It may impress everybody to note that South Africa actually buys its LNG from the US. When we have Angola, we have Nigeria, we have Gabon.
Why is that so?
Because we don't talk to each other. It's simple. Because we really don't talk to each other. And Nigeria is selling its LNG to Japan and to Korea and all that. So fortunately, there's AFTA, the African Free Trade Continental Agreement. There is a need to develop the energy aspects of it, the gas aspects of it, to advise OAU and some of all those people, so that Africa can talk within each other. It's not just South Africa. You have countries like Kenya. They're developing. There's Tanzania. There's Uganda, even within the Southern African region. So there are options that need to be considered. Then there is the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, which is supposed to run from here to Morocco, another one from here to Algeria. What people don't understand is the implication in that, in even changing our stability and political strength. Russia is powerful within Europe because most of the gas that Europe uses comes from Russia. If we do the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, Africa and indeed Nigeria, where the gas is going to come from, is going to be a competitor of supplying gas to Europe. Once you can affect their economics and their political system in that light, you get political weight.
Okay.
You understand? That is aside from the business aspects of it.
Yes.
So when you do things like that, all the countries that are involved along that line are such that they're going to benefit. We're going to be able to influence them, whether it is Algeria, whether it's Angola and all that. And that is how thinking should be done, so that your economic weight can turn to political weight.
So if you are to give a projection, when do you think Nigeria will be able to, fully utilize or harness her gas resources? Do you think it will happen this year, in the next 10 years? What?
Well, the process of harnessing yes, there's a time aspect to it, but there's a commitment aspect to it.
Okay.
One of the challenges, to be fair, is the inconsistencies within government. It is not so when one government comes, it totally abandons what another government has started and all that. There's the case of Ogidigbe, which was the gas park, which started with the former government, and immediately the former government went, that was abandoned. In fact, the AKK was originally part of the gas master plan, which was initially abandoned, which has come to it. So first of all, there must be consistencies, because there's a certain amount of time it takes to build a gas project. So there must be consistencies within government. Our democracy needs to mature in terms of understanding governance to be not an issue of political parties or different governments, but an issue of continuation of what is beneficial to the nation. Because economics, just like money, does not understand and identify tribe or political parties. You just must be consistent.
All right. Thank you very much, Olabode Sanwo-Olu. We have to stop there. Our time is almost up. So we've been speaking with Olabode Sanwo-Olu, a gas expert on harnessing Nigeria's gas potentials. And with the discussion, we've come to the end of this episode of Business Express. Don't forget you can access this and all previous episodes on YouTube, and you can also communicate with us on Twitter. The handle is @NTA News Now. The hashtag is BizX. As we continue the fight against COVID-19, remember to obey all the set-down rules and join us again on Friday at 3 p.m. for another package. I am Muplang Dakok.